My name is Justin Tran, and today I'll be presenting my death row case study on Charles Ray Crawford, a man sentenced to death for the abduction, rape, and murder of Christy Ray in Mississippi back in 1993. This case is more than just a crime story. It's about justice, repeat violent offenses, and the difficult moral questions surrounding the death penalty. What I will cover. In this presentation, I'll be covering five main parts. First, the background of Charles Ray Crawford and the crimes he committed. Second, the legal proceedings and appeals that followed his conviction. Third, the controversies and constitutional questions about his defense. Fourth, the broader implications his case has on society and justice. And finally, I'll answer the key question, was justice truly served? Who was Charles Ray Crawford? Charles Ray Crawford was born in 1966 in Mississippi. He already had a violent past, including a rape conviction of a 17-year-old girl before the events that made him infamous. In 1993, Crawford abducted, raped, and murdered 20-year-old Christy Ray in Topeka County. Her body was found in a nearby field after a massive community search. The crime shook the local community, not only because of its brutality, but because it could have been prevented if his earlier crimes had been handled more effectively. Trials, appeals, and execution. Crawford was convicted of a capital murder, rape, sexual battery, burglary, and aggravated assault. He was sentenced to death by lethal injection in 1994. Over the next 3 decades, he filed multiple appeals. His main argument was that his lawyer admitted guilt against his wishes, which he claimed violated his Sixth Amendment right to control his defense. Despite these appeals, every court upheld his conviction. The U.S. Supreme Court refused to reopen the case, and he was executed on May 1st, 2024. Constitutional and ethical issues. This case raised serious constitutional and ethical questions. If a defense attorney goes against their client's wishes, is it still fair to represent? Some legal experts argued that Crawford didn't receive proper defense, while others said the evidence was overwhelming and justice was done. The case also reignited debate about mental health evaluations in violent crime cases and how repeat offenders are managed before tragedy happens again. Lessons for the justice system. Looking at the bigger picture, this case highlights several lessons for our justice system. It shows how failure to rehabilitate violent offenders can lead to more victims. It emphasizes the importance of mental health screening and early intervention, and it raises the question, does capital punishment deliver true justice, or is it society's way of seeking revenge? For Christy Ray's family, the death sentence brought closure, but it also reminded the public that prevention should have came a long way before punishment. Was justice served? Legally, yes. Crawford was given a fair trial, numerous appeals, and due process under the law. Morally, it's complicated. While the execution gave closure to Christy Ray's family, many still ask if the system had been stronger, could Chrissy's life have been saved in the first place? Justice was served by law, but the case also exposes how the justice system sometimes acts too late, punishing rather than preventing. Conclusion. In conclusion, the case of Charles Ray Crawford represents both the power and the limits of the justice system. His execution closed a painful chapter, but it also forces us to think about fairness prevention and how to handle repeat offenders before tragedy strikes again. Justice was served in the courtroom, but true justice means learning from cases like this and making sure that they never happen again. These are the official sources I used for my research, including the Mississippi Department of Corrections, the Associated Press, the U.S. Supreme Court case record, and the Death Penalty Information Center. Thank you.